Please subscribe to my channel and click on the bell icon to get the regular updates of my channel, and do not forget to like, comment and share. Hello everyone, welcome back to SaaS with ServiceNow. This session is part of ServiceNow Discovery Training. In this training, you will learn about mid-servers in ServiceNow, which is the second topic of this training. In this section, we will learn what is mid-server, mid-server application, ECC Queue, how discovery works with probes, sensors, ECC Queue, and mid-server. We will learn about ECC Queue process flow. And we will also learn about how to install and set up a mid-server for discovery application. So starting with, what is a mid-server? Mid-server is a Java application that runs as a Windows service or Unix daemon on a server in your local network. The mid-server enables communication and the movement of data between a ServiceNow instance and external applications, data sources, and services. Let's understand with an example. There is a company, SAASWITHSERVICENOW, which has cloud ServiceNow. This SAASWITHSERVICENOW instance wants to connect with network of ServiceNow company, maybe for LDAP integration, or any other type of integration, maybe to integrate with internal application, that means intranet application of ServiceNow company. But ServiceNow instance cannot communicate with internal applications of ServiceNow company. The reason is because access is limited to internal network only for this ServiceNow company. So in that case, mid-server comes into the picture. In order to establish this communication, ServiceNow needs to install a mid-server in their internal network. And once mid-server is installed, ServiceNow can communicate with internal network of ServiceNow company via mid-server. This is basically needed when you want to make an outbound call from ServiceNow to your internal network. You still might have some question that how installing an application in internal network gave access to ServiceNow. So let's understand that as well. Now, mid-server is installed in the internal network, which means it already has a connection in the network, and there can be a handshake between mid-server and internal devices and applications of ServiceNow company. But the question is how ServiceNow will be able to communicate with this mid-server. So in order to establish this connection, you need to perform some configuration on this mid-server, where you need to put some details of your instance with username and the password so that mid-server will have access to your ServiceNow instance. And once that configuration is done, mid-server will be able to communicate with ServiceNow instance, and they can do handshake as well successfully. This overall means that ServiceNow has access to the internal network of this ServiceNow organization. And now you can use the same setup for discovery as well. The next topic is mid-server application. ServiceNow has out-of-the-box application to manage and configure mid-servers directly in ServiceNow instance. This application also helps you to download mid-server Java application in your internal server. Let's see what all modules you can see in this mid-server application in my personal developer instance. This is my personal developer instance. In order to go to mid-server, you can type mid-server. And you can access this application, mid server, which has various modules under this application. The first module under this application is installation instruction. And if you will click on this button, this module, it will take you to the ServiceNow product documentation where it is talking about how you can install the mid server. So I will close this. The next module we have is downloads, which will show you that how you can download what file you have to download for your mid server. Overall, you have two options. One is for Linux servers, another one is for Windows. So you might have Linux servers in your organization, or you might have Windows servers in your organization. ServiceNow mid server can be installed in both the machines. It is also giving you the option of 32-bit and 64-bit for both Linux and Windows machines. If you want to directly download the zip file, so if you will check this box, it will show you the option to download the zip file as well, which you can extract it and then you can install that particular mid server as well. But this zip file is only available for Windows machine. And if you will click this button, this will basically automatically download the file of that mid server so that you can install in both type of machines. The next module is dashboard, which shows the data related to mid server. Like if you will install the mid server, you can see the status over here, that how many mid servers have been installed, what exactly their status, and some other information as well. And you can see more information over here, like average percentage of CPU used for the mid server, average percentage of max memory used for the mid server. That is what you can see in this dashboard. The next one is servers, in which you will see the list of records for all mid server installed for your instance. That all the mid servers which you have installed on different servers of your organization, they will be visible over here, but only for this particular instance. Wherever you have provided the configuration of this instance, those mid server records you will see in this particular list. And you will see a lot of details, other details as well about the mid server. Next is server issues. Now in this module, you see what kind of issues you have in your mid server. So time to time, it keep on checking that what kind of issues we have. And if system will find any issue, it will populate it. Now, as of now, there was a mid server installed, but I have deleted that. That's the reason it is showing this one issue, but I can delete this as well. But overall, you will see the list of issues if you have for any of your mid server. And once you will see the list of issues, you can troubleshoot it as well. You can fix it and then you can resolve these issues manually. Next is upgrade history, in which you can see all the upgrades done for your mid servers when you upgrade your ServiceNow instance. So like in this particular instance, we have Paris version, like you can see. Now this one was for previous mid server which we installed, but I have deleted, I have uninstalled that mid server for now because I want to install a new mid server for this demo. So here you can see it will show you the history of all the upgrades happened for those different mid servers you have in your instance. So those details can be seen over here. Then we have clusters. So you can configure mid server clusters for your different mid servers, like load balancers, which will distribute the traffic of the transaction. And another one is failover, which will make one mid server as primary and other mid servers as secondary as well. And if I give you a quick example, let's say you are using mid server for any particular functionality, and one of the mid server goes down. Maybe it stopped working because of some issues on the mid server. And now if you want to continue with that functionality, and if you will make that failover, then what system will do, system will automatically route the selection of mid server to the secondary one. so that that functionality continue to work. So your functionality of any functionality, it can be discovery or all other functionalities, or even the integration which are using mid server, in that case, that functionality will not break and it will continue to work because of the secondary mid server. Then you see properties, in which you can configure different properties for different functionalities of your mid server. And you can just change the values over here. And you can also create new mid server properties. It is different from the actual properties we have in ServiceNow instance. Then we have script includes. Now this is specifically for mid server script includes. So you can see the list of script includes, which you can use for different type of scripting you want to do, or to achieve some kind of functionalities, to achieve some kind of maybe features you want to implement via mid server. In that case, you can create different script includes as well. These are all out of the box, but you can create your own script include, mid server script include as well. Similar to properties, it is also different. It is in a different table. So all these script includes are different from the normal or generic script includes you have in your ServiceNow instance. The next module is script files, which stores different type of files you can run on mid server or via mid server, like PowerShell files. You have some scripting files, shell scripting files as well. Like you can see over here, .sh files. Those are all Linux files, shell scripting files. So you can store them and you can run them as per the functionality you need via mid servers. Then we have IP ranges. Now in this particular module, you will see what kind of IP ranges you want to include, or what kind of IP ranges you want to exclude for mid servers. So you can configure that for example, you have multiple mid servers and you want to include or exclude specific IP address mid servers, then you can mention over here. As of now, we have selected all. That means all the IP ranges, whatever mid servers I will be putting in my instance, I'll be installing, it will consider all of them. Then we have applications. Now here you can mention different applications. So for example, mid server is used for different applications in ServiceNow, like cloud management, like discovery, and some other applications as well, like event management as well. So in that case, if you want to specify that these mid servers should be used for these applications, that you can define over here. And if you want to just configure it for all the mid server, all the applications, in that case, you can just select all. Next one is mid selector override, which is for cloud override configuration with the help of scripting. Next is capabilities, in which you can define what capabilities different mid servers should have to perform different activities. Like you can see, we have capabilities for PowerShell, SSH, WMI, even for discovery. If I talk about discovery, in discovery, you have to discover maybe Windows servers, you have to discover Linux servers. And for Linux, you should definitely need SSH. For Windows, you should definitely need this WMI. So these are all different capabilities you want to have for your mid servers. And there are some other modules as well, which you can configure as per your requirement from your customer and clients in your organization. Mid server installation. Mid server should be installed in your organization's server machine, which will have access to communicate with internal devices and IP addresses. Now, what ServiceNow applications use mid server? So mid server is used by LDAP, orchestration, event management, discovery application, service mapping, and integration. Integration with different third-party applications, maybe intranet applications. Next is ECC Queue. So what is ECC Queue? ECC is external communication channel. ECC queue is a connection point between an instance and the MIT server. ECC queue is a table of records which stores information sent from ServiceNow instance to another system and from another system to ServiceNow instance. ECC queue record is a message sent from ServiceNow or incoming message from third-party system. This is one of the ECC message record, which shows some other details as well, like queue, which shows if the message is output or input message. Then state as well, which shows the status of the message, whether it got processed, whether it got triggered, it is ready. There are different states which we will learn later. Now, how MIT server uses ECC queue in ServiceNow? Let's say we have a MIT server, a ServiceNow instance, and ECC queue on the same instance. Now, MIT server always communicates with ServiceNow instance with worker job and checks for new output messages so that MIT server can perform the action as per the message provided by ServiceNow. Now, this ECC queue stores input and output messages. Input messages are processed in the instance to perform action in the instance only. And output messages are processed by MIT server to perform some action. Maybe to perform some action for third-party applications as part of the integration. The next topic is how discovery works with probes, sensors, ECC queue, and MIT server. Let's understand this with an example. Let's assume we have one server and one database in the network of any organization, like we talked about SAASWITHSERVICENOW company. We have ServiceNow instance and we have MIT server. Now this MIT server is installed and configured in the internal network of this SAASWITHSERVICENOW company. In ServiceNow instance, you have probes for different types of devices and applications like Windows, Linux. And you also have sensors. Now ServiceNow has a lot of out-of-the-box probes and sensors created in the instance. However, you can also create your own probes and sensors to discover specific information of your systems and process them. Now MIT server always query the probes to run on target machine to collect the information. Now this MIT server is subscribed to asynchronous message bus, and that is called as AMB, which is always available to send and receive messages in ServiceNow instance, and also notify to MIT server if there is any pending job to be processed in ECC queue. If a job exists in ECC queue for that MIT server, then MIT server says to the instance that, hey, I'm going to work on this work. MIT server processes the request as per the probe and then reports back to the ECC queue with the results. And now this information which was collected is basically processed by sensors. The next topic is ECC queue process flow. We will see how ECC queue process the work and change the state as per different activities. So let's start with a new message is created in ECC queue. Then system checks if the message is input or output message. And if the message is output, then state becomes ready, which is basically ready to send the job to MIT server. Now when MIT server receives the job, then state becomes processing, so that MIT server can process that particular work. Once job is completed by MIT server, then state becomes processed in ECC queue. This is how output ECC queue message is processed in ServiceNow. Then in ServiceNow instance, mid server creates a new message in ECC queue as input message with the results collected by probes, and state becomes ready. Then sensor picks the message to process, which changes the state to processing. Once message is processed in the ServiceNow instance, then state of that ECC queue becomes processed. And this is how input ECC queue message is processed in ServiceNow. In ServiceNow instance, you can access ECC queue by typing ECC in Application Navigator, and you will get this application ECC. And if you will click this module queue, you will see all ECC queue records. Here you can see we have output and input. So let me just group it so that you can see both types of queues we have. So we have input messages, we have output. If I open one of the input, let's say we open this one. And you can also see it is basically using the one of the mid server we have. So you can see it has a lot of information, like it has payload, what kind of payload it is getting. This is basically input. So maybe it is getting the response basically from third-party system. And I think it is basically getting the data for discovery. So that's the reason it says here input. That means it has processed as well. You can see the state, and we have different states like ready, processed, error, and processing. And if I close this one and if I open output one, that means I am sending something. That means ServiceNow instance is sending something to mid server. So you can see we have this one as an output. And if I open this record, so this is the output message. So maybe I'm just sending some instruction to another system. So mid server will pick it and then process it accordingly. And this is the output message. I hope you liked this video. Thank you and have a great day.